Missed it by like 15 seconds. I didn't know this. Just I'm getting ready here, click the button 15 seconds from now. What's going on outside? The woman comes down the street. She's got 2 handfuls, and each hand is holding like 6 leashes. And it's all these little tiny little, I don't know what kind of dog they are, but and she's got 6 and 6 of them in each hand. Right in front of the camera. If I'd have seen it, I would have hit the button earlier, but it all happened right too quickly. I've never seen her before, and I'm here, 3 days a week at this time. I wonder if this is new. If so, I'll keep an eye out for it next time, and I'll start early if I have to, just to catch this. Whether they're all hers or whether that's her job, people do this thing, right? They do their dog walking business, but whatever. I've never seen it before. There's this guy that comes along. He sometimes parks his black car. He's got like 2 or 3 of these things. This was an even dozen, an easy dozen. Good morning, gang. Lots of familiar names, lots of new names. Recently, every time I open this thing, there's new names here. People I don't recognize. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. What just happened? We just missed an event, that's all. There was a dog walker went by with a dozen dogs, and it would have been fun to catch, but it was just a moment. Yeah, that's a bother for me. Twitch doesn't show the chat. When you log in or when you come into a stream, it should show you the chat from at least 2 or 3 minutes before, I think. We got a floating post. Yes. Good morning. Okay, today, what's happening today is this. We're back to the regular work on my own print here. We're carving this kimono pattern, for which I received grief the other day. Dave shouldn't pick the easy route. Dave should pick the difficult route, maybe, people think. Anyway, it's okay. So we're going to be doing this today. There is a show and tell at the end of the stream today. In fact, it's a semi-repeat. What we're going to do is, well, whatever. We'll talk about that when we get to it. And as far as I know, nothing else is going to come along to interrupt us. Well, what I do need to do, yes, absolutely. We need a sharpening before I can do this. This is delicate work. Already interruptions. We need a sharpening. A lot of buffering tonight, not at this end. Everything's showing green across the bottom here, so I think we're okay. What do we need here? No, it's not broken. We can start with the 1000. I was chatting by email with a friend over the weekend, and he lives in Portland. And wow. Talk about apocalyptic. Talk about the apocalypse, hey. My family in Canada, in Vancouver, they're starting to get worried. This thing that's happening in California and then Oregon and Washington. How far north is that stuff going to go? Canada too also, of course, has trouble with forest fires every year, but wow. Okay, keep quiet, Dave. Let's do this. I mud the sharpening stone. I know I'm going to get grief for this. You don't need to mud a diamond stone. I know. Dave's just being a bit of a traditionalist here, and he really likes the feeling of the mud in the water. It also helps me see the blackness. Just let me get going on this first. The the blackness, or the black stripes, it's bits of iron. It's iron particles coming off, and it gives, having the mud here in the water helps give a sense of what we're doing, how much steel we're cutting, and what's going on. It helps me relate more to the traditional system with the old stones. But every now and then people start posting, Dave, you don't need mud with the diamond stones, and I get it. It works without the mud, but I like it. Nothing much more to say. I like it. Reduce the pressure. I started with fairly firm pressure to cut metal, but that really does gouge the steel, of course. And reduce the pressure bit by bit. And these blades are so small in surface area that it really doesn't need much work. It's just seconds work. The downside of using the water and the mud, of course, is that it gets rusty if I don't take care of it. Yeah, the friend I was chatting with lives on the north side of Portland. Actually, he lives in Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver as in Vancouver, Washington. But I guess that's effectively a suburb of Portland, even though it's in the next state, right? I don't know how it works that way, but yeah. But for those guys, it's so many things at the same time. Portland, I mean, there's the civic unrest, the social unrest, the election question, the virus, and now these fires. I mean, my God, how much can you expect one area, one community to handle? Incredible. Looking nice. Actually, there's something else I need to do here. I probably never talked about this before. The blade sharpening here is basically, it's the bevel side gets sharpened. I'm holding the knife at an angle, so the bevel gets flat at its own angle, and the back gets flattened. But the back of these blades is hollow ground. I don't know if you can see this. The back of the blade, you can see it there, right? See the super shiny part, and then there's a sort of a dull part in the middle of the back. Try and get the angle right here. There it is, right? There's the shiny part and the dull part. And the dull part is what they call a hollow ground. The blade is... The back of the blade is ground like this. And the benefit to this is that, how can I say this? If you're a cabinet, and I'm not for woodblock printmaking, but if you're cabinet making and stuff, if you've got your chisels and you're cutting tenons in wood or something, you dig your here like this, you dig your chisel into the wood and you want that thing to be absolutely flat. But if the blade is not hollow ground, it tends to be arched the other way, so you can never get a flat surface in your wood. Now for us as woodblock printmakers, we use the blades the other way. We use the bevel. So the hollow grounding doesn't matter when you're using the thing to cut, but it matters when you're sharpening. It puts the pressure of the stone right to the very tip of the blade. You can see here, look at this, the tip is shiny. But actually this is getting a little bit off, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bend this blade a fraction. I'm going to put it here with the hollow ground up, facing my workbench, and I'm going to just think about bending it. Not enough. There it is now. The blade is now bent infinitesimally towards the side of the hollow grounding. So when I put it now on the stone, absolutely, there might be a little bit of an arch here. So in the middle, it doesn't, in the middle, in this part, it doesn't touch the stone, but the tip is now, I know, absolutely flat on the stone. And those last few strokes will work on the tip. If this were completely flat, then no matter how good I am at it, the rubbing would be all across the back surface, not concentrated on the tip. But because of that last little bit of arch, the sharpening is now concentrated right at the very tip of the blade. I've broken a blade that way. No, I'm not, I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm just pressing it down. I'm not touching the tip. I'm just thinking about, and I'm looking along like a sword. You know, the guys look for the curve of their swords. And I'm just looking for the tiniest bit of curve this way. So that, again, so as I said, so that the tip rubs on the stone. Work, block. Okay, here's our pattern. You can see clearly, there's the pattern we're carving. It's scattered all over the kimono, pretty much randomly. I'll need my scope for this, absolutely. We started one the other day. Seems a bit more lively outside today. You know, the weekend was, Anthony, I haven't seen it like that for many months. It was the busiest, most active Asakusa I've seen, Anthony, clearly in months. The counts of infections and stuff here in Tokyo have been wobbling around. They're wobbling around like a couple of hundred a day or something. But for a town of 35 million people, I think a couple hundred a day is not so bad. And the general mood is that people are feeling it's pretty safe out there. So there's no lockdown here. There's restrictions on gatherings and sports and theaters and stuff like that. And restaurants are being asked to close early and to run at reduced capacity and stuff like this. But you wouldn't have known any of that last night. And we just sit here in the middle of it. Yesterday was busy all day long. It was reasonable weather yesterday. Lots of families, young people. It was just, the Saksa was just buzzing. And we sit here in the middle of it with, nothing going on. We don't even try and open. The shutter is halfway closed. And we've learned over the years, there's no point at all in trying to open in this environment. Because our shop is not interesting for Japanese people. So. And the kimono people too, they were cleaning up over the weekend, the kimono shop. They pulled up a truck outside and oh my God, it just loaded and took a load away and loaded some more and took another load away. And there was, I don't know, a dozen young women inside, packing stuff in boxes, hauling to the truck, packing stuff. And they're still not finished. It was a gigantic job. That's quite an extensive business. They had racks and racks and racks of kimono. And they all had to be cleaned up, Well, the kimono shop now, it's empty. It's pretty much empty. There's nothing left. The shelves are physically still there. The shelves are still there, but nothing else. They've now taken away all the kimonos. Kimono. Funny, if I'm speaking English, it's kimonos, but if I speak Japanese, it's kimono. There's no plurals in Japanese. For us who speak both languages, it's always strange when we're talking to somebody in English and they use those Japanese words, Like a lady will come in the shop and say, "Oh, I love wearing Japanese kimonos." And my ears here go, ouch, because, we don't have plurals. And if in Japanese, it would say, "I love wearing Japanese kimono," meaning plural, But when I myself am speaking English, talking about the kimono shop next door, what should I say? Oh, they have many different kinds of kimono. Or should I swallow hard and say they have many different kinds of kimonos? I don't know. Same thing, all those words that came from Japanese that are now part of English. Typhoon is another word. Maybe it came from Chinese first, I don't know. But it's now, it's a Japanese word and it's also an English word. And again, there's no plurals. So in English, man, we had so many typhoons last year. My brain goes... Conversation's okay, right? Mostly about fires and stuff, I guess, are you? Yeah, my collection of delicate origamis. Is it in Italian, something right? The same thing? I don't know. No, yeah. So I guess when you speak in English, just swallow hard and then speak English, The thing about these crisscrossing lines, of course, we can't carve like just a corner like this, cut the corner, because that way it would never line up with the next corner. So as you can see, the knife actually goes right through the whole thing. It seems to cut across the lines. Here, I'm cutting deeply here. How much you can see, I don't know. And then at the crisscross point, I lift up the knife and just slide it across and then plunge it back in again there. And that makes it certain that the thing lines up properly. And now I can cut the corner out safely, and I know I'll have a straight, the line will be matching. Well, I make a few tiny squares just for the sake of showing how it's done. What do you mean? You mean, yeah, whatever. It's, no, it doesn't matter. It's easy. It's no more easy or no more difficult either way. But yeah, where is one? Here. reminds me of when I was doing the poet series, you know, because of those poets, the guy who designed it, Katsukawa Shuncho, he had sort of a bunch of standardized patterns that he used. And I hadn't noticed it when I started the series, but over the course of the 10 years, I of course got really familiar with the guy's habits. And this was one of his common patterns. Crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. 10 years. I go month by month and month, and then, okay, what's happening this month? Here's another one. Go. And they'd be the full wide kimono pattern, just the whole broad thing would all be these tiny squares. You know. Whatever, just do it. Just sit there and do it. When it's a super field of them, you get a mosquito net or something, of course you don't do it this way. You carve the horizontal lines on one block and the vertical lines on another block. But when it's small independent patterns, you can't do it that way. Oh yeah, there's your classic crisscross. I don't know if we can zoom anymore or not, I don't know. That's it, that's as far as we're going to get. If we see it, so one of them has lines both ways, the other ones have over-under. There's no way I'm going to leave that one like that. It looks like I've screwed up everything else and just got one of them right. So whatever. How do I get the tiny lines between the crisscrosses? What can I say? You just carve. It's just 8 strokes. You know, each line has 2 strokes. You be really careful when you're going through the middle. You don't cut deeply. You cut more deeply at the edge of the lines, and just be really careful in the middle. Someone's seeing a post that floats for the first time, can I? On days when there's no stream here these days, I've been, it's funny, life for all of us has changed since the virus came, of course. Life for all of us have changed. And mine changed in a number of ways. We had these print parties and stuff going on. The shop was really vividly active, and I myself was vividly active all through last year. And I hadn't realized it, but once the virus came and shut down our shop and shut down the print parties, I at first had a really easy time of it. Wow, I got all this time to do stuff. I learned soon on that that was a myth. My time now is eaten. I'm being eaten alive by the workload here. But also what's changed a lot, which I hadn't realized, was that I'm getting far less exercise or moving than I used to do. It used to be like 2 or 3 print parties a day. I come bounding down the stairs. Good afternoon, let's get going, and energy and blah, 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 blah. And that's not happening. It hasn't happened now for half a year. And I really hadn't realized it, but it's hugely affected my, the physical well-being and stuff. And I've been just going down and down and down, feeling tired and what's this and blah, blah, blah. So clearly, there's no question, I'm not the only person finding this, I'm sure. I'm really short of exercise. And there's a local gym and pool here just down the street, but they're on virus, blah, 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 and they're not taking new members right now. I think they're still closed. So what are you going to do? So anyway, step one, just to get something going, I've been taking a walk each morning on days when there's been no stream. It's not exactly great exercise, but it's better than nothing anyway. So no problem. Around here, there are a million places to walk, of course. Good grief, right in the middle of Tokyo here. Finding some kind of interesting walk is not a problem. And yesterday, I went up to an area that I'd known about, but hadn't actually walked around and had a look around before. This is Asakusa, and in the old days, just behind Sensoji Temple, up in the area that's now called Senzoku, that's where the old Yoshiwara was. And it's of course gone. They kept running it until about 1958 or so, I can't remember, when the word Yoshiwara then disappeared and whatever. And that kind of life in Tokyo became the same as it is in any other big cities. It spread all over the place. So I thought, but yesterday on my walk, it was Sunday morning, just walking this direction, I saw a signpost, a historical marker. Just up the street from here was the famous Migaeri Yanagi, the willow where everybody who was leaving the pleasure quarter looked back in remembrance of what they'd been doing that evening, blah, blah, blah. So there's this willow. So I thought, oh, it's here. This is the area where the Yoshiwara used to be. And they had a historical marker with a little map, whatever. So I thought, I took my stroll through that area where it used to be. And it's full of not sex shops. It's full of love hotels where you don't go with your partner. It's full of, soap lands and stuff. It really is still an actual district like that. I knew there was some remnants of it still there, but it's actually a district. Bounded on the north, bounded on the south. There's this block, this block, this block, and in the middle of it, it's all full of these kinds of, hotels. I don't know what word to use. And this was Sunday morning, about 6:30. There was taxis lined up everywhere. Sunday morning, like Saturday night was a busy night for these people, and there's taxis lined up everywhere. And a bunch of these places, and I just randomly, as I'm walking through the district, I saw this at number of times. I'm walking down the street and the taxi starts moving. He must have got the call. He comes up to the door of one of these places and it's built with no sidewalks. This is so cool. The whole street is built with no sidewalks. And the taxi comes up right to, it's actually the door. Taxi door opens, something opens in the door of the building, somebody jumps up, plop, plop, into the taxi, and you can't see who it is. These guys have got this all worked out. It's crazy. I'm just walking down the street, taxi comes in front of me, pulls in front, pulls over, doors open, doors closed, bling, bling, taxi's gone. I had no idea it was still such an active part of Tokyo life. Then walk along a couple more blocks and bang, you're out of it. There's the shopping center, the Shoten guy selling, bakeries and everything else, whatever. It's a normal street. But in behind the normal streets in the Senzoku, it's the, Senzoku Dori is the street with the Shotengai. And behind it is still this area. It looked pretty sleazy. This didn't look very high class or whatever. It looked pretty sleazy. So here I have all these years I've been telling people, no, that stuff's all gone years and years and years ago. Now it's just everywhere. The girls are spread around Ueno Station and all over the place and blah, blah, blah. And I was wrong. It still is there, and it's on the same freaking footprint that it used to be back in 1695. But that would be a great, like for a TV quiz show or something. Here's a typical street of Tokyo. Note the lack of sidewalks. Can anybody tell me why there's no sidewalks on this particular street? Whatever. Like anybody's going to be able to guess this. Yeah, there are districts like this, of course, all over Tokyo these days. There's a big area just south of Shinobazu Park in Ueno. There's a big area. I don't know where they all are all over town. The people who need to know, they know where they are, so whatever. Yeah, there are plenty of streets without sidewalks. This is different, John. It's funny, actually. There are lots of streets without sidewalks. Once I saw that taxi, I realized it's actually built that way. There's no poles. There's no nothing. It's built actually so, and the streets, the buildings themselves, they don't have any signs sticking out. It's designed. Once you realize what they're trying to do, you get the idea. It's designed so that the cars can pull up exactly to that place, open their door. The taxi even knows how far to park from the building, so the door opens and just doesn't bang the building. Map of these areas and websites so you can avoid them. Yeah, right. So. When we open the shop, we should have a shop guide party where we go down to the collection room and explain about prints and stuff. That's funny you should mention this because the landlady was over the other day, shop, whatever. There's a million stories and a million threads coming together. We are still trying to figure out what kind of business we want to have in the future. We're trying to figure out what kind of business we are going to be able to do. We're doing this all in an environment where we don't know when the foreigners are coming back. And our biggest problem right now is to try and find some kind of business activity we can do in this building in the near future for the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, while we are waiting for the world to return to some semblance of what it was before. That may be a hopeless cause. Maybe the world is never coming back. I don't know. But if that's the case, then it's all give up anyway. So we're going to try and figure out something we can do with the thought being that in X years, you fill in the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In X years, foreigners will come back to Japan, and we want to still be here and ready for them. But what can we do in the meantime? We were chatting before about food and stuff like that. It's really, really, really difficult, almost impossible for us to do that without major capital investment, without starting basically a brand new business. We need something that fits within the structure of our current knowledge, our current licensing, our current business activities. Woodblock prints. But Japanese people are not interested in buying our woodblock prints. So, somebody's mentioned here, what you should do is grab customers, bring them down and show them the collection. And we are now fuzzily coming together with a plan. It's fuzzy. And I can get some feedback from some of you guys here, people like John who have been here before and who know what's going on. We have a shop room, basically about 2/3 of the space, and behind it, in 1/3 of the space, is what used to be the print party room. Plan A was this: open sometime this fall or in the spring, just for Japanese people. And in the back room where the party used to be, do a display space for the collection. Have a miniature little gallery room. So it's a shop people can walk around in, but at the back they would also get a chance to see some of those prints. We could chat with them about some of those prints. That would be easy to do, but when we speak of business models, it's nothing, because we've learned the Japanese people are not going to buy prints in the shop. They may sit and chat and talk all day long about them, but that will not be suitable for a business model. So what we're, the next version of this plan was this: switch it around. Switch it around. In the back room back there that used to be the party room, that's the place that becomes the shop. We've got these browsing bins here. Put them in the back room. The front space, the 2/3 of it, get the lights out, build display spaces. This becomes the collection display space. Change the sign out front. This isn't Mokuhankan, a woodblock print shop. This is the Mokuhankan Museum/gallery. Charge entrance, like $1, $2, something cheap. There's no barrier to actually walk off the street and come in. They spend 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever, in the exhibition space, and at the back there is a shop for those who choose to do the shopping. We're still not going to sell anything to the Japanese people, but it doesn't matter. We're up and running using our space. We get a dribble of income that might do something, and if we publicize this well with NHK and stuff, we could actually get a steady stream of people, maybe on the weekends. Those thousands of people that walk by each weekend, get some of those people to try and come in here, because it's not a shop, we're not selling anything, it's something to see, something to do. It's an activity, and that's what we were successful with for the past 6 years. The main success was the activity, the print party. So instead of doing it as a print party, which we can't do anymore, do it as to show the collection. Talk up the collection, make videos, blah, 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 and make that what Mokuhankan is. Mokuhankan then isn't actually even a shop anymore. It becomes a gallery museum space. And actually in Tokyo, there are very few gallery museum spaces to see woodblock prints. There's really actually only one, the Ota Museum in Harajuku. The National Museum has a few, poorly displayed, poorly lit, poorly organized. So this is possibly a future business model for us. Not a shop, not just a shop, but a place to come and see interesting prints. Now we could do that right now, but if you think ahead then to the future, to the X years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years when the foreigners come back, what then happens? Our fans come down the street, I gotta go and see Dave, drop in at his place and come and see him. It's been years since I got there. They get to the door and they can't get in until they pay. People would have to pay to get in here. So I don't know. So, John's good. The traditional method is you exit through the gift shop. We don't have a physical space that allows that. If we put the shop at the front, people could come in, just do shopping and go, and then they pay to get to the museum at the back, the thing at the back. The space doesn't work. If there was a door at the back, we could do it. The idea is to work on social media and get the thing so attractive that people would come to see the prints. I'm sure there's lots of comments on this. I'm sorry, I can't read and do both. I will absolutely, as I said, go through and read and see what the feedback is happening here. At the moment, I'm just talking into space. Not much of a conversation when I can't see what you guys are talking about. Then thinking about this even farther, okay, blah, 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 woodblock print museum, gallery, blah, blah, blah. Most people, their eyes are just going to glaze over, they're going to walk by, they're not interested. It's a very, very, very small segment of society that is interested. So the idea is to present it in a very different way. It works really nicely in Japanese. Juppin Bijutsukan. Juppin Bijutsukan. 10 pieces museum. And the spiel is this. You go to a normal museum and within 15 minutes you're overloaded and overwhelmed. You know, any museum, small one, big one, whatever. You look at something, you spend 1 or 2 or 3 minutes looking at it, you move to the next one, you spend 2 minutes, move to the next one, you spend 1 minute, soon your legs aren't even stopping. You go along and along and along and along and along. You're overwhelmed. Go to the next room, next room, next room. What did you learn from this stuff? Nothing. What do you remember? Nothing. 1729, blah, blah, blah. Make a gallery museum that has only 10 works on display at any one time. Do 2 levels of in-depth explanation. It's panels and it's audio for them to play on their phone, and there's a QR code video to play on your phone for every item. The short course, 2 or 3 minutes for each one, you're out in 30 minutes. Deep course, 5, 6 minutes for each one. It's going to take you an hour. You just beep whichever smartphone QR code you want to do. 3 or 4 of the items are low on the floor. They've got a bench. You can sit down and relax. I did a book on this like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I put the David's Choice ebook out. And I did this. I put 10 items, put them in the ebook with beautiful photography, and I spoke to the microphone for 1 hour about this. And that's the idea. In Japanese, Juppin Bijutsukan. What would be the hook in English? The 10 print woodblock print museum. It doesn't scan in English. It doesn't parse in English. Charge the admission, 200 yen to get in. It's a darkish place with the lights on, a place to sit down. It doesn't look like a shop. They get the ticket for coming in. Oshibori, he's late. He's an hour late today. And the ticket that they pay 200 yen to get in, it's a 200 yen discount ticket in the shop at the back if they want. But the main thing then, it's not a shop anymore. It is a museum/gallery. Yeah, somebody's saying tools, blocks, and stuff. Yes, that's part of it, actually. Each exhibition, the exhibition, I got to tell you this, it's not just 10 Utamoto prints. That's not the idea. The whole focus and concept of this is the woodblock prints as objects. He turned the truck off, didn't he? Super. Thank you! 2 of them today, too. Actually, after the long weekend. So it would not be just 10 pictures. The idea, it's 10 objects. And every one of the different things, we'd rotate every 3 months or so. Maybe do it 4 times a year. Where am I? I'm supposed to be carving here. We'd rotate maybe every 3 months. The previous exhibition all gets scanned. It goes on the net. There's a downloadable PDF, the audio, video. It's all on the internet, of course. And it's not just 10 pictures. It's 10 objects that we talk about woodblock prints as beautiful things, as beautiful objects. But how would that fly with our fans when X years from now they finally get on a plane, they finally come to Tokyo, they walk down the street, and they can't get in unless they pay to get in? I mean, obviously, if somebody's like part of our Patreon campaign, that includes admission. You could tee that up easily enough or whatever. Or if they're a current subscriber or something. I don't know. I have to think about all this, But one of the main motivations for thinking about trying something like this is simply we have to do something now that works in Japan, that works for Japanese people. I'm sorry not to be able to talk back and forth with you, I'm sure. There's lots of ideas here. Someone's saying 1,000 yen to get in. Oh, yeah, and the ticket is a print. That's a pretty big barrier to get in, What's the price? I don't even know, I didn't check. The Ota Memorial Museum down in Harajuku, what's their entry fee? 5? It's got to be more than 5. 700 or something? 700 or 900? I don't think it's 1,000 yet. And because we've only, from a normal person's point of view, there's only 10 things. Oh, there's about 700? Yeah, I think somewhere around there, John, yeah. So we couldn't go 5, 6, or 7 because there's like only 10. And people are like, what? Even though Dave is thinking they will get good value, they will enjoy it after they come in, when they're standing outside, there's no way. There's no way, there's no way. Facts, yeah, right. The thing about this, if we started this now, built this up now, we did our construction, get it going now, and even if it doesn't fly well for the Japanese and for Japanese culture, if we were confident about it for the future, this would give us a warm-up time, a time to learn how to do this, to get our sea legs, to work on the displays, to work on what kind of exhibitions to have, so that we would then be ready and experienced by the time the flood came back. You know, that's kind of what happened with the shop in the first place. When we opened here first in 2014, there was nobody. It was Death Valley. It was 2, 3, 4 years before the documentary movie and YouTube brought people in here. And during those few years, we learned how to have a shop. You know, if we'd had the flood from day one, we'd have gone under. We wouldn't have been able to handle it. So it might be another way to do the same sort of thing. Start this, even though there aren't going to be a lot of people around. Start it and get it up and running and learn how to do it properly during the years when there's not many people here. So we're chatting about this yesterday, Amy and Aoyama-san. He's really not so enthusiastic about the idea, but whatever. It's at this point, it's just brainstorming. Sayonara. They were good to us today. Good. They shut their motor off. Can you imagine if the motor had been running all through that? Good. It worked out well. I'll put the audio back up for outside. So a live section by printing, one printing bench. We were thinking about this. This is weird. We were chatting about this yesterday, the brainstorming. The front half, the front 2/3 are the exhibition space. The back half is a shop. But Dave's desk sits here. Dave's desk sits here. So the desk is still here. And when I'm not sitting here, it could be set up as a display. People would see how the prints are made, blah, 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 blah. And then when Dave feels like it, or it could be scheduled. Weekends, every Saturday and Sunday. On weekends only, 11 and 1, Dave comes by and he'll do carving and chatting for an hour or something. That could very much be a part of it. Absolutely be a part of it. We can never go back to doing what we had before, the print parties. It was killing us, us meaning me. We can never go back to doing that. If there's any new people today, they're probably thinking, what kind of a bizarre stream is this? But whatever, anyway. Yeah, scaring away people with an entry fee. Again, if we keep it low, we're thinking like 200 yen or something. So it's just pull the change out of your pocket. It doesn't make any difference, you know. But then the conversation continued. Me and Aoyama-san, we were batting about these ideas back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Having a really good time. Had a couple of beers and whatever. Don't need to talk about it. Anyway, partway along through the discussion yesterday, somebody, one of the two of us, don't need to talk about who it is, one of the two of us had another idea. Say, There's something else we could do right now as well for our overseas people. Something else we could do now without waiting for the airplanes to come back. Something else we can do. We have already an online shop, which is actually doing quite well. This week it's doing spectacularly. We did a bunch of advertising this week. But we've got an online shop already. We've got the ability to do live streams. Why don't we combine the two ideas? This is just brainstorming, so we're not going to do this. I'm just brainstorming, but feedback. We have our normal Twitch streams for carving. Then imagine once a month or something, second Saturday of every month, whatever, we have a special stream, and it's, let me just describe it. It starts, Dave's outside at Sensoji Temple or Don Quixote or something like this. He's got the like Tommy walking around. Here we are, Dave Bull speaking to you from Asakusa. Here's the famous Don Quixote store. Let's go back. Okay, let's stroll along. We walk around town 2 or 3, 4 minutes, and we come back to our shop. We come in through the door of Mokuhankan. We're live streaming. Here we are visiting the Mokuhankan print shop. At that time, the stream splits, and we see 3 or 4 things on the screen. The bottom left corner, where we see an outside view here, it's the camera that I now pass to one of our staff members. They can walk around the shop to show the shop. The right-hand side of the screen, instead of being the carving bench here, it's a display stand for prints. So you see a print like we have in the collection, really beautifully lit up, showed nicely. And it now becomes, okay, we're talking to the people who are watching the stream. We put in some links to prints in our flea market. And we start grabbing prints from our shop and putting them up on the stand and explaining them to people. In other words, it becomes like a shopping stream. We actually sit there introducing prints, and each one has a link. Phone 0120. There's a link to the page where you can order it right now. We're answering questions. People type in the chat, what's the print? We answer questions. And for a half an hour or an hour, I'm half laughing while I say this, for a half hour or an hour, it's a shopping. People are in our shop. They punch questions in the chat. Dave, I saw, can you show me the great wave, whatever. We put the great wave up on the stand and show it and talk about it or whatever. And it's a group interactive shopping thing. And partway along, Teiko-san, one of our staff members, she drops in with a discount flag and puts it in front of that print, says, Dave, this print's been here for 2 months. It's going 40% discount. And Dave says, we can't do that. We can't. It's done. Now, somebody already just bought it through the special link at the bottom of the page. Partway through, we take a break. We sit down, we get some coffee, me and the staff drink, and we do a Q&A through the chat. Would this be something to do, or is this a bizarre dream that would people actually be interested in this? I don't know. I mean, what's the name of the Q something shopping channel where they do this? They spiel and right now, and you've only got 10 minutes before it's all gone and all that kind of crap. But would a light-hearted, fun version of that be actually something we could do? I mean, these normal streams we do here, I don't try and sell anything. I'm going to do a show and tell in a few minutes, but it's just something for fun. But as part of trying to help the interactive nature of our business with the foreigners who can't come to Japan, it's the thing we mentioned about you can't come to Japan, Japan will come to you. I don't know. QVC, that's the name. So. I knew it started with a Q. Hucksterism, I don't know. I really don't know. Do print auctions on stream? I don't know. Do we have the sustained volume for a shopping channel? Not 24 hours a day. No. I'm talking about something we could do once a month or something, No. I don't know. Anyway, it's at this point, it's rambling, brainstorming. I don't know. If we just sit here and do nothing, we are in trouble. Our business is surviving at the moment, but it's just surviving. And then maybe that's enough. Maybe we should just be in survival mode for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever we need to do, hoping, expecting, guessing that the tourists will come back one day. If they do, we're fine. If they don't, well, we're still surviving. So I don't know. Whether we should be actively thinking about changing our business, growing our business, or whether we should just hold the line. I don't know. Actually, that QVC thing, we were just chatting about as a sort of semi-joke or brainstormed idea, but it was actually happening for us last year. We weren't doing it ourselves, but one of the tour companies, Ebisu Ya, was doing these virtual tours even before the era of the virus. They had a situation where people would pay one of their staff members, and they ran a virtual tour. The guy walked around town with his camera, and he stopped at different places, Sensoji Temple and this and that and this and that. The kind of thing we talk about Tommy, the imaginary guy here doing this. It was already happening last year before the virus. And that company, Ebisia, they had teed up with us. And what was doing, they would come down the street here, and the guy came in. He asked them first, there's a woodblock print shop here, shall we go in, do you have any interest? And the people who were watching the stream, the family who was watching the stream, sitting on their couch, would say yes or no. And if they said yes, he'd walk into the shop. And I knew who he was. He says, can we look around? And I'm, yeah. And he walks around our shop with his camera on his stick, looking at prints. And he pulls prints up one by one. He'd ask me or one of our staff members to explain it, and we would explain the print to the person at the other end of the stream. I mean, this was happening, a year and a half ago. And we would sell stuff. He would say, well, can we buy it? And he would then take it to the cash register. He pays for it with his money, and they walked away with it, and he would ship it to his stream people later on. So they were doing shopping, not just in this shop, but in other shops nearby. So it was literally a virtual shopping. This had started, as I said, a year or so ago. So the concept isn't completely imaginary or silly, a live stream here at Mokuhankan with the point of showing and introducing some of the prints and chatting about them. And there's an order form or a way to buy them teed up together with the stream, I sure don't want our Twitch stream here to become anything to do with shopping and buying and collecting money. We've talked about this many, many times. So if we did that, maybe we would do it on a different medium, maybe on like Facebook streaming or something, where we can keep that shopping stuff away from this Twitch stream, I don't know. As I said, it's just brainstorming, just trying to think about how to survive. But clearly there is a thing there. And if real tourism doesn't come back 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, there's got to be global demand for this sort of thing. Virtual tourism, presumably, will be a thing that will become a really major mainstream thing. Instead of people getting in airplanes and traveling around the world, they sit down at their widescreen computer, TV, whatever, and get hosted as they travel around the world. It's got to be a thing. Moving along, how's our time? We're still okay, no problem. Yeah, so even Twitch might not like the idea, of course. So, as I said, at the moment it's just a brainstorming. What was that sound outside? Somebody dropped something? While they doing the bike, she dropped something, did she? The low, these are kids, the lady with two kids, they're really interesting. Low slung bike, very small wheels. Both kids, their legs are over the wheels. The center of gravity is really, really, really low. The old mamachari, the bikes were high, kids were balanced up high, so easy to fall over. These new bikes are 10 times safer. あ、どうも。ありがとうございます。着払い。あ、じゃあ先に大丈夫ですね。OK OK お願いします。はい。お願いします。ありがとうございます。Thank you. It's prints from one of our printers outside. This is from Kawaiichi Haru. And what's inside the box there will be another batch. It'll be a batch of 80 prints for this year's subscription series number 9. And they're all in the can now. Good. This is perfectly on time. The billing for that happens tomorrow, the 15th of the month. And here's the prints just arriving. Talk about just-in-time systems. Okay, I think we're time to show. Okay, coming along well. If I hadn't spent so much stupid time chatting and talking and looking up at the screen, it might be finished, but whatever. We'll still, next to go. Okay, it's 9:12, 9:13. All right, let's move along because we've got a bit of an extended show and tell today. It's a bit of a replay plus alpha. Let's tuck that down a little bit here. Okay, bit of a replay first plus alpha. We did the other day, I showed you what we called a Junjo Zuri. I showed this to you on whatever day it was. Today's Monday, so it must have been Saturday. Quick tiny recap for those who weren't here on Saturday. Yeah, I'm 2 minutes early, whatever, 1 minute early, give me a break, because there's a big one to show you here. Just to recap what we did on Saturday. We showed this object. It's what's called a Junjo Zuri. It's an accordion. Hey, Dave shows his shuffling skills, card skills here. The idea being, it was a, okay, Dave, focus here. It's an empty book. No, it's not. It goes this way. Okay, the point being this. It was what's called a step-by-step printing. It shows the key block of a print first, and then it's got color plus key block, color number 2 plus key block, color number 3 plus key block, building up, building up, building up, building up, building up. And I got a bunch of emails yesterday commenting, letting me know, laughing at me, because I screwed up how to count this. I know people want these. They would love to have such a thing in the catalog. They would love to buy this sort of thing. And I was fumbling about trying to explain why it's really, really difficult for us to produce such an object for sale. And I screwed it up in explaining why. A 14 color print like this one has been printed with 14 impressions. This is another impression. This one has 13 impressions, another impression. This one has 12, you know how it goes, blah, 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 blah. So for a 14 color book, it turns out that there are 119 impressions here when you include this one as a separate impression. It's 105 impressions to make the right-hand set of these pages, and it's another 14 impressions to do the left-hand side. So it's 119 impressions for the printer. The print itself, when it normally sells, would sell for a certain price, 14 impressions. The printer has to do 8 times as much work to make one of these. 8 times as much work for the printer, and that's our main cost, of course, the printing labor. Then paper cost. If that is a sheet of paper for one print, this now needs 28 sheets of paper. The paper cost is 28 times more. Then, of course, there's the little detail of how to take all those woodblock prints and paste them and glue them and bind them into something that is acceptable with a nice cover. You can get the idea here why we can't do this. The print itself, if we were making this from scratch, from clear, this would be 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 yen print. But the printing, 8 or 9 times the printing, 28 times the printing cost. It's just impossible for us to do this. So somebody said, okay, Dave, this is perfect for a Kickstarter campaign. And it would be perfect for a Kickstarter campaign. Suppose it was going to be a little bit bigger one. It was going to be $400 or something, whatever. Will it fly? One way to find out, set up a campaign and see if people want to order this thing, then away you go. But the downside from us is this. The work for the printer gets really pretty monotonous, laborious. They end up printing just this color block. This first color block comes in 14 plus 13 plus 12 plus 11 times. And the wear and tear, the key block gets printed just to make this package. To make one object, the key block gets printed 14 times. 14 times the wear and tear. Anyway, I said the other day, I said it was 14 factorial, and I was totally, completely wrong. But anyway, such it is. So okay, while we're on the topic then, that was interesting. Let's now blow you guys out of the room. Speaking about Junjo Zuri, that was a little one. Most of the ones that were made in the old days, this actually is quite big. Most of the ones I have at home upstairs in my collection, they're about half this size. Because of course, time is money. This one is a full oban size Junjo Zuri. And that's what it says, Ukiyo-e Mokohanga Junjo Zuri. And this was produced by the Yamada Shoin Company, and the print set that uses this design was published in 1969. I don't know if I can reach my camera or what's going on here. Let's see, we don't need that flask. earthquake. Let me move around. Can we find a spot here? Is that going to do it? Now these things are big. This is the size of our great wave print. This is a full ukiyo-e oban sheet of paper. And we are going to do the same thing. We are going to go 14 steps. Now on that, one difference from the previous one. On the previous one, what they did, they showed us key block, nothing, and then color, color plus key. These guys are showing us absolutely every step. Here's what you print first, and here is your result. So these two actually at this point are exactly the same. And here we go. And the next one, there's your massive key block. Then the first color that comes in here, don't blink or you're going to miss it. The first color, can you see it? The lips. That's it. That's impression number 2. Now, why would you do this first? You do it first because it's the most critical almost of the whole thing. Can you imagine doing 13 colors, trying to put the lips in, the paper's now twisted, distorted a bit, they slip a bit, it looks no good, you've destroyed all your work. So you do the delicate, critical ones, which require a small area, first. You get that right, then you can move on, and move on, and move on. And also, the ones that require tightest registration should be done before the background, because the backgrounds frequently distort and twist the paper. And here we go, and she's now got lips there. And away we go, away we go, away we go. Some of these might be, oh, I'll shrink my own picture. I don't need to be stuck up here. Let's shrink myself out of the way here too. Fair enough, that's better, right? So an entire piece of washi just for 2 dots, of course. And also, it wouldn't be a huge, giant wood block. As you'll see later on, there's areas that are going to be carved down here. So they would have used the same piece of wood, absolutely. It couldn't be the same piece of wood as this one, but we'll see lots of other choices. Lots of other choices. Okay, here we go. Basic yellow, it's for kimono patterns, for some woody areas, and away we go. That's 2. You guys can keep track. Brown. And we've got already now, we've got some areas that are actually combining. We've got areas that were yellow under here, and they've now got a brown part on top of them, so we've now actually got tones starting to multiply beyond the basic 14 that we are going to see. Great. And you can see what's happening here. Now, obviously there's these white patterns cut out of this, which tells us what's going to be happening here with this print. This is going to be a winter scene, and it's going to be a snowy day. And this is how we create the snow. Snow is never done with white pigment in these ukiyo-e prints. It's done with paper. So every single one of these color blocks has to have the snow cut out of it. Oh, and in fact, you can see already what's going on. Look, 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 look. Going back to the key block had the snow cut out of it in this area. And when we slip ahead to this color block, the color block has the snow cut out in exactly the same area. So a bunch of snowflakes here are going to be cut a whole number of times. Water, base tone for the water, more coming later. Building up, and again, of course, more snow. Another different blue. It's a different blue tone. And yeah, there is snow in this too. It's funny, what we're seeing on some of this, it's kimono pattern in some places. I can't reach the camera anymore to zoom in. It's kimono pattern in some places and snow in some of the rest of it. Can I zoom in? So you can see it. It's kimono pattern with snow on top. Is the gray snow scratch carved? No, I don't think so. It's not clearly sharply carved, but it's not in a scratch carve. But what they have done at the edge of her I don't even know what it is. Has she got a muffler or a scarf or something, or is it part of her kimono? They have roughened up the edge of this one. Let's try and zoom in on this. They have rough carved the edge of this thing. This is all fuzzy. I'm not sure why they did that. I think maybe it's supposed to give the impression that it's a piece of a fur type fabric, maybe a fuzzy type fabric. I'm not quite sure about that. If carvers would grumble whenever they found such designs on their desks on Monday morning, no, this is a carver's meat and potatoes. This is what we do. I mean, if you're a professional carver, I'm not these days. But if you're a professional carver, bang, here you go. No problem. This is your job. This is what you do. What do we got? A darker green here. It's a teal type green. And again, snow. There's snow dots carved all through it. And they're not overlaying much at all here. This is the days, this is way before Shinhaga. There's not too much overlaying happening in these prints. We have a vermilion, and look at this, they haven't carved any snow. Lazy or just whatever, who knows. I think it's okay. The reason maybe no snow is here, because this one is so much on top of the key block that you would have had to carve snow into the key block. Sky, number 1. Interesting too, they had a gray block already. Well, where did we have a gray? Let's go back and compare. We had a gray block earlier. Where was it? This one. Ah, I see. Why didn't we do it from the sky? It's too close. They wanted a specific kind of tone here. This is an undertone for the black. There's the gray on the snow. I'm thinking they could have done it. Oh no, I see. We couldn't do it together because of what's coming next. Somebody mentioned the colors change after you put the stuff around it. This is why for some, printing is difficult sometimes, because when you're printing one color, the surrounding stuff is not there yet. And it's difficult to understand how deep to make this, because the surrounding part is still not there. Whoa, here we go, here we go, here we go. So what we've done now, this white, what was a white kimono, has now been spectacularly filled in. It's I don't know what's showing you on the screen. It's a deep, deep blue with lots of black inside. It's a very blackish, deep blue color. And we've got a way to go yet. We've got 3 or 4 or 5 still to go. We're not finished by any means. And here we go. Now we start with the gradations. And of course this image, now this one, uses exactly the same block. It's the same piece of wood. Let me flip back to it. Hey, it's the same piece of wood as this one. It was printed once with a light blue, and you can see what's happening now. They're rubbing their brush just at the bottom of it to add a gradation on it and add depth. And black. Black for her hair. This is called the katsura. Katsura is actually a word for a wig. She's not wearing a wig, but in printmaking terminology, katsura is the block that prints the jet black hair on top. And we already had a gray block underneath here. The key block had hair there, and then a gray block added more to it, and now we're adding a jet black block to it, the katsura. And the same thing again, the black on the highlight parts of her clothing. And they've done the same thing. They've carved it fuzzy, fuzzy, fuzzy. We'll close up in a minute after I get to this. Why did they omit the snow from her hair? I don't think it looks odd. I think what it does is it makes her look front and center. But it's funny, there's snow in front of her, but no snow on her hair or face. Artistic reasons or technical. There's just too many fine lines there to mess it up. And we've got, oh no, that's it. That's the end of it. So. Here we go. Okay, let's pull this out and have a look at it. So the snow melted on her hair? No idea, you tell me. No gradation in the sky, so interesting. They could have done, of course. Now this is not spectacularly great work. This is Yamada Shoin, which is a B-level publisher. They really are not a top-level publisher. They're gone. They're long gone now. This set was done in 1969. And it's nicely made, but it's not top-level work by any means. You can see there's misregistrations here and there. The hair is okay, but nothing to write home about. The finger carving, look at this. Ito-san would have just smirked when he saw this. There's no way. sky flakes are fatter. I don't know, you tell me. Is it done on purpose to make it look, I don't know. Is this clumsy work, or is that designer, or is that carver? The flakes are all sort of a different groups. There's delicate flakes here, medium flakes here, fat flakes here. I don't know. That's the censor's mark. In this era, before things could be published, the line drawing had to go to the government offices. And if it was approved, if they couldn't find any sense of parody of the government or something like this, then it got, the line drawing got the censor's stamp, and that stamp was carved together with the line drawing, and it appeared on the finished print. This is called kiwa. Oh, I forget the Japanese word. Kiwamu or kiwame. I can't remember, I'm sorry. It's the censor's seal. That's the publisher's mark. And this, of course, is the designer's name. It's Kunisada ga, drawn by Kunisada. The other thing about this print is it's not a single standalone print. Now, I got this Junjo Zuri. I've got no idea why Yamada Shoin made this. It might have been made for an exhibition or something at one time. What would make the censor throw it out is a whole bunch of reasons. I know they were really concerned about parodies. People could be, you could never say bad things about the government because it was that kind of government. And they were sensitive about people showing a picture that would look like, it looked like a guy in a rickshaw cart, but it was actually talking about some video game. They're parody prints, that they seem to be one thing, but they're really another thing. And it was a thing. People would try and parody some aspect of the government, and the censors were trying to catch this. Then another part of the censorship was, in certain eras, they were really strict, what they called sumptuary laws. In times of economic crisis and stuff, the government made rules. You can't use more than 7 colors on a woodblock print because it's too expensive and a waste of money and stuff like that. So lots of these things had to be approved and checked and controlled by the government. I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff at all. You can Google and find out lots more about it than what Dave knows. Dave just knows about these things a little bit because they bound over the world of Japanese woodblock prints. Anyway, what we're getting going on here is, here we are. Something else here. This is a different folder. This is a folder print from Yamada Shoin. We have the same print here, but now we can see it's the middle print of a set of 3. It isn't a print all by itself. It's the middle print in a set of 3. There it is, the lady we just saw. There is one at the left of her, and there's no way I can show these to you all side by side, and there's the one to the right. So the full production is 1, 2, 3, a set of 3 prints. We have people in the tea house at the back, and the other cool thing about this, some of you didn't notice this, I was sort of half expecting somebody might wake up and jump up and say, hey, look at this. This is a print from a Hakke series. It's one of our classic Hakke. This one is a set of prints by Kunisada called Edo Hakke. And which of our 8 themes does this one reflect? It's, of course, the evening snow. The Hakke thing just goes around and around and around and around and never stops. And these are the same blocks. I checked with it. The set I have from the Yamada Shoin. This is a set of 46 prints. They're going to be going online soon. We haven't done the photography yet, but Yamada-kun got the data ready for the online collection. It's a set of 46 prints, and it's the same wood blocks. You can tell because from the snow carving is exactly the same. It's the same one they used for this Junjo Zuri. And what this would cost, I've got no idea. 28 sheets of paper. The sheets of paper are $5 each. 28 sheets of paper, that's $140. The printing fee would be, as I said, 14 times the normal printing fee. To sell the Junjo Zuri, like I just showed you, it would be, to break even, it'd be $500 or $600. Anyway, there we have it, quite spectacular. The best way to show these, and I'm looking forward to one day when we get the exhibition space up, a full, long, beautiful line of all these things where you can stroll along and see this. Okay, I think that will do for now. I can promise you when we come back in a few days, I'll be back here on Thursday. It won't be another Junjozuri show and tell. We'll find something else to show. There's still lots and lots and lots of things upstairs to show and talk about. I'm sorry to come back to the same theme so many times recently, but I have lots more of these, I have so many more. I grab them whenever I can see them, at least in the days when we had money to spend on such things. These days, we don't, but whatever. Okay, I think we're out of here. Today's Monday. I'll be back here now 3 days from now. I'll be back here on Thursday. I'm not sure which work I'll be doing. It could be carving the block I'm carving right now, or it could be, again, I've been teasing you about this, so mentioning it's coming up. I might be carving the first print in next year's series already. That's definitely coming soon. If it's not ready on Thursday, it'll be ready very soon from now. Okay, guys, thanks very much. A bit of a strange stream today. Did I get some work done a little bit? Did I ramble too much, maybe? I'll look forward to reading the stream at lunchtime, catching the messages. For now, over and out. Thanks very much. See you on Thursday morning. For me, Wednesday night for you guys. See you soon.